no birth, transcendental truth, and eternity unthinkable. We know that there are two positions usually taken up by the Mahayana thinker who attacks problems of ontology. Unless we know which of the two positions is being upheld by him at the moment, we shall find him quite frequently contradicting himself. The one is that of conventionalism, and the other, if we put it so, is a highly metaphysical one. If we designate the first as a relative position, we may call the latter the absolute one. From the relative or conventional point of view, the Mahayana admits that there is causation, and the world moves on from one state to another in conformity with the law. But it refuses to give this continuance an absolute value, for it is real only as far as our senses are concerned. Conventionalism, or naive realism, does not, after all, give real satisfaction to the deeper demands of the religious consciousness. So the Buddhists ask us to go beyond this world of appearance, where supposedly all births and deaths are objectively real. A realm beyond the senses, however, must be opened from within ourselves. When we pursue our objective course, they would say we come to no end. One chain leads to another. The concatenation has no beginning and no conclusion. We now make a retreat and dig deeper and deeper down into the very foundation rock of consciousness. When we do this, as the Lankavatara says, there finally takes place a revulsion or paravritti, apparently within our own minds. There opens up a new vista where we never expected anything religiously or spiritually convincing. In the beginning, we supposed that we could not get down deep enough to come in touch with anything transcendental. But the new experience now inspires us with a conviction hitherto altogether unknown. This is the new position, supercentral and absolute. This is the supreme wisdom, or Araya Jnana, the realization of which within ourselves is so emphatically reiterated in the Sutra. And it is from this point of view that the world is now describable as unborn, with no self-substance, and unconditionally empty and not at all limited by causation. Birthlessness, or anutpada, or emptiness, does not belong to the domain of our relative consciousness. The sutra in this respect is quite explicit, lest the unwary should slip at this point. The development and definite assertion later in the Madhyamika school of the conception of twofold truth, samvritti and paramartha, or worldly and transcendental, is the natural consequence of the positions taken up by the Lankavatara. In order to show, though somewhat over-repeatedly, that the birthlessness of all things refers to a world not filled with sense data, I quote the following, quote, "Again, O Mahamati, it is taught by the Tathagatas of the past, future, and present that all things are unborn. Why? All things are unborn because they are the manifestations of our own mind and have no reality of their own, of which one can say that they are existent or non-existent, or that they are born. O Mahamati, all things are like the horns of a hare, or a horse, or an ass, or a camel. As they are discriminated erroneously owing to the wrong judgments that are cherished by the ignorant and confused, they seem to exist, but in fact they are unborn. That all things are never born in their nature, this is realized only by supreme wisdom deeply buried in the inner part of consciousness, and is not to be grasped by the discriminative and dualistic intelligence of the ignorant and confused. The realms of supreme wisdom and relative knowledge are not on the same plane. The world in which our bodies are nourished, works of utility are carried on, and where we have our habitation, this world so characterized rises from the alaya vijnana, when the latter divides itself into that which is grasped and that which grasps, whereby the ignorant are attached to the dualistic view of things, thinking that there is birth, abiding, and final passing away, and further they imagine that There really is the birth of all things to be subsumed under the categories of being and non-being. Therefore, O Mahamate, in this thou hast to discipline thyself assiduously." Quote, quote.